So then tonight we're going to learn, we're going to learn Pei Daled and Pei Hey Amud Aleph, which makes perfect sense. And then by tomorrow night, we'll be done with Pei Vav, and then we'll be all caught up. That's perfect. Okay, so we're starting with the Mishnah on the bottom of Daf Pei Gimel Amud Beis. As you may have noticed in this parak of Amar Rabbi Akiva, there's very little that discusses Hilchos Shabbos. Some of the Meforshim are bothered by that in regards to why it is that we're learning a Masechta that seems really just, it's a little island unto itself. And tonight is no different. Of course, we've seen some references about, for example, traveling on a ship within 3 days of Shabbos. We are familiar with some of those halachos. But tonight, the primary sugya we're going to learn in this Mishnah until the next Mishnah is all about the status of Tuma as it relates to a boat itself, big machlokas tanaim, with nafkaminas that we'll see in the Gemara. And then learning the first amudan of Daf Pei Hey Amud Aleph is about agriculture and planting and the Isser of Kiloi HaKerem. So we'll dig into those two sugyas tonight. I know it's a blot and a half, but it will be relatively short. It's not. It should be less than 50 minutes, I should say. And Mirza Hashem will get some good clarity along the way. Not a complex Gemara, so hopefully we should be able to navigate smoothly and comfortably. So we're at the Mishnah about 3/4 of the way down on Pei Gimel Amud Beis. Let's get started. Minayin l'sfina shehi tahora. How do we know that a boat is tahora? In other words, that it's not susceptible to becoming tummy, not just that it's tahor. Well, of course it's tahor until it becomes tummy. No, the Mishnah is saying that it's not susceptible to tuma. Shneimar derech oniyah b'leiv yam. And oniyah, of course, is a ship, and b'leiv yam is in the heart of the waters. The Gemara, right as it opens, first of the longest lines, Pei Gimel Amud Beis, is bothered. Pshita oniyah b'leiv yamhi. Thank you very much. Where else do ships go? Obviously, they're on the water. So what was meant by this strange phraseology of the pasuk? So answers the Gemara, hakamash malan kiyam, that there's a similarity between a boat and between a yam. Ma yam tahor, just like the water itself is not susceptible to tuma. You cannot make a lake or an ocean tame. So too af svina tahora. So the Tanakama, really our Mishnah, I should say, our Mishnah is of the opinion that all ships on the water, no matter what they are, no matter what material, no matter what size, all ships on the water, says the Mishnah, Pei Gimel Amud Beis, is considered to be tahora. It is not susceptible to tuma. However, we're now going to see a brisa that doesn't really agree with that. And that brisa is found first words on the line, second of the widest lines. Tanya, we have a brisa, Hananya Omer. Hananya says, Nilmada misak. We learn this actually from a different place. We don't learn that a sfina, that a ship is not susceptible to tuma from the strange pasuk of Derech Oniyah B'leiv Yam, but we learn from a different pasuk of Misak, where the Torah speaks about certain types of tuma. Masak metaltel malev rekan, just like a sack that's used to carry things is carried both full and empty. Afkol metaltel malev rekan. So to anything that you're able to carry when it's full or when it's not full. La'afuke. What does that come to exclude? Sfina. Deina metaltelas malev rekan. Because you cannot pick up a boat and carry it. Unless, of course, you can. We'll speak about the smaller boats shortly. But the presumption is take a cruise ship. Whether or not there's people on that boat, you're not picking it up. So because you're not picking it up, so then there's nothing to really talk about. That's not susceptible to tuma. In order for something to be susceptible to tuma, it has to be portable in that way. And if it's not portable, then the shaila doesn't even reach the desk of the Rav. It's not a shaila at all. So that's the machlokas between our Mishnah and the Brisa. Our Mishnah says it's based on a pasuk, and to be clear, our Mishnah is sweeping. It's all sfinos, all types of ships, no matter the size and no matter the material. Masha'en kein, the sheet of Hananya, is that no, it is dependent on whether or not it can be carried. And if it can, then yes, and if it can't, then no. So let's see, the Gemara is now going to entertain a couple of nafkaminos. So we said, Lafuke Svina Deina Metalteles. Let me just finish the rest of Hananya. Lafuke Svina Deina Metalteles Malibarekam. But a boat is not carried empty and full, and therefore it's not shaykh to the world of Tuma V'Tara. So says the Gemara, Mai Beinayu. What is the difference between these two shitas, between our Mishnah, which was very sweeping, and the sheets of Hananya, which was somewhat limiting? Answers the Gemara, two different answers. Ika Beinayu, here's the first difference. Sfina shel cheres. What about a sfina that's made out of earthenware? Maybe not a very common thing to make it out of because it chips easily and breaks easily, but nevertheless, That would be a great theoretical question, something that's made out of cheres. Manda Amar Onia Belev Yam, Hanami Belev Yam. According to our Mishnah, that highlights that it's all inclusive. Every ship under the sun, every ship that floats on water, it doesn't make a difference what it's made out of. Who cares if it's made out of cheres? So therefore, the ship that's made out of cheres is going to be considered to be, what does he hold? It's going to be considered to be tahora. Hanami b'lev yamhi. Lamanda amar kisak hanach dechsive gabesak. Only the materials listed in the pasuk. However, cheres was not listed in the pasuk. Even if it's not portable, it would be susceptible to tuma, because the only time we apply the Hananiah's limitations of susceptibility to tuma, in that it has to be carried male or rekan, that something has to be carried like a sack that can be carried both full and empty, that doesn't apply to things that aren't in the pasuk, and cheres wasn't in the pasuk. So that's one nafkamina, is that is a boat of cheres. According to our Tana of our Mishnah, it doesn't make a difference what material it is. It will be tahora no matter what. It's never susceptible to tuma. However, according to the second opinion, the opinion of Hananiah and the Brisa, he would say that it may well be susceptible to tuma, because the only exclusions are that which are listed in the pasuk, of which cheres is not one of them. So that's one nafkamina. And then the Gemara presents another one. Says the Gemara, where are we? Here we go. Inami, another option is Sfinas HaYarden, a boat that would travel down the Yarden, down the Jordan River, which was a very narrow river. So imagine for a moment a small kayak, a kayak that you would mount on your car, that you would bring over to the waterfront, and you would carry it on your shoulder, or carry it, maybe even pull it. We'll see in Gemara today what the status is of this. That would be another nafkamina, and that's what the Gemara refers to as a Sfinas HaYarden. So there, let's see how this plays out. Inami, another nafkamina between the sheets of our Mishnah and the Brisa, is a boat that belongs in the Yarden. We don't care. According to our Mishnah, a boat is a boat is a boat. We don't care if it's small either. Even if it's portable, it doesn't make a difference. It's always going to be tahora. It is not susceptible to tuma. However, if you're going to say it's about portability, so I could pick up a boat on my shoulder that's a plastic kayak, no problem at all. Those are the things when you're driving, even here in Chicago, you see people driving down the Chicago River off the McCormick Bridge. You see people pushing oars there to try to. Okay, that's a good nafkamina. So Amar Rabbi Chanina ben Akavia, mipnei ma amru sfinas hayarden timeya. What's the reason why we would say that these smaller boats are considered timeya? Hare, after all, look at the Mishnah in Pei Gimel and Shabbos. It says that all boats are going to be considered tahora. Answers the Gemara, we hold like Hananiah. What does Hananiah say? He said, this is Chanina holding like Hananiah. Let's not get confused. These are different people. Chanina ben Akavia says, what's the reason why that Sfinas Hayarden, these smaller boats, are considered Tmemi? Because we carry it on dry land, and we then put it into the water. L'dugma, if a person is going to build a cruise ship, they build it on water. They build the buoyant parts first, the parts on the bottom that float, and they do it on the water. It's never going to be docked on dry land. It might be docked in the port. It might be anchored somewhere, but it's never on dry land. But the kayak that attaches to your car, absolutely. So that would be the second nafkamina between the sheets of our Mishnah and the sheets of the Brisa, in that if there's a portable boat, so our Mishnah doesn't care, because our Mishnah is all inclusive, anything that floats on water. Masha'en kain, according to Hananiah, that is not true. He is concerned about what can be carried and what cannot, and if it's made out of the right material and it can be carried, then it's going to be subject to tuma. Amar Rabbi Yehuda, seemingly a non sequitur, but we will be brought back to reality very shortly. Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Amar Rab, about 8 lines from the bottom, and apropos, considering that we are just commencing the Chag of Shavuos. A person should not hold themselves back from the Beis Medrash, not even for 1 hour. Shahare, because Kama Shanim Nishnes Mishnah Zo Beis HaMedrash, this Mishnah, Pei Gimel, the Mishnah about the boat, Minayin L'Sfina, that we're learning here, was taught in the Beis Medrash for many years. Velonis Gale Taima, Acheba Rabbi Chanina ben Akavia Upirsha, that it took us years to understand, why is it that the Sfinas HaYarden was considered Tameh in the face of our Mishnah, which is all-inclusive? They didn't have the answer. Apparently, they didn't have the Brisa of Hananiah at the time. So Rabbi Chanina, a different person, Rabbi Chanina gave pshat, finally, it depends on this whole world of Hananiah. So that's why we should have such an appreciation for having access to knowledge. They just didn't have access to this Brisa. And for years, they didn't understand how there could be this concept of Sfinas HaYarden, the smaller boat is Tameya, when there's a Mishnah that says otherwise. The answer was the Bryce of Hananya that they didn't have. But Rabbi Hanina ben Akavia was able to figure it out for them. Continues the Gemara, now just talking about Talmud Torah. We'll come back to our Gemara shortly. Amar Rabbi Yonasan la'olam al yimana adam as atzmo mi beis hamedrash umi divrei Torah b'afilu b'shas misa. A person should not avoid going to the Beis Medrash or from learning Torah, even if they are in the last moments of their lives. Shene'emar zos haTorah adam ki yamus ba'ohel. Obviously, a play on words. One referencing Tumas Hameis, and here referencing that when a person is dying, they should always be in the ohel. They should always be basking in the light of the Beis Hamedrash, something that some of us are just tasting now again for the first time for many months. Yesterday, I had the chus of doing a bris, and there happened to be 10 men there, and they said Karesh for having done a siyum. It was an emotional experience. We're not used to being so far away from the Beis Medrash. It was a very powerful experience just to hear a Karesh, just to hear 10 men saying Amen. We miss those days. And Hashem, we should have more of it. So that's the din here that Rav Yonasan is saying, is that we should even push, even by Yom HaMisa, to make sure that we're still pushing and trying to learn Torah. Second to last line of the page. Amar Reish Lakish ein divrei Torah miskaimen ela b'mi shememis atzmo aleha shene'amar zos haTorah adam ki yamus ba'ohel. Of course, the famous idea that a person has to be memis atzmo aleha, that if a person wants to be kona Torah, there has to be a kinyan that it is by memis atzmo. You have to be pushing yourself to the nth degree. This concept is difficult for most of us to fathom. A lot of people relate to Talmud Torah as it relates to a checkbox of sorts, that I've done my daf, I've done my piece. But the mitzvah of Talmud Torah is much more grand than any one conceptual accomplishment in learning. It's pushing, pushing, pushing. In some of the old yeshivas, they would not let people come into the Beis Medrash if they ever slept in their bed. Because why did you make it to your bed? You should have been falling asleep in the Beis HaMedrash and then waking up and washing the time and learning. You made it to your bed, your stomach shakes. You're not going to be accepted to the Beis Medrash. You got to learn how to learn. That's not being memis atzmo. Different pshatim to be discussed at length at another time. So that's that is this idea that Reish Lakish says, is that to make that kinyan, to make your Torah miskayim, it has to be memis atzmo with a hashkafa of hasmada. Shenemar zos haTorah adam ki yamus ba'ohel. Amar Rava, coming back to our sugya, turning to the top of Pei Daled Amud Aleph, says the Gemara, Chananya. Remember, Chananya is the brisa. He held that there were some possibilities where things could be tamei. So he said it has to be carryable. But did he mean carryable, like literally over your shoulder, like the example I gave of the kayak on your shoulder? Really, that's how we would do it? Really? Chananya tiltul al yedei shvarim, shmei tiltul. So Chananya says, when we say that something can be carried, it doesn't mean that it has to be carried by your hands. It even could be pulled by oxen. It could be pulled by animals. That's still considered tiltul. That's still considered carrying in such a way where one would then be able to have the status of tuma. So let's say that this kayak was small enough to be pulled by shvarim, to be pulled by animals, but not to be carried by you. It doesn't make a difference. That would still be considered tamei in such circumstances. Where do we know this from? Ditnan, as the Mishnah writes. Shalosh agalos hein. There are three types of chariots, three types of carts that were used. Asuya ke katidra. If they were made, this is described in Rashi here like a throne, like a three-sided chair, as opposed to, I guess, just a backing chair, maybe a chair with sidearms, like a throne of some kind. So then, Tmei Medrash, a person is going to put their weight on that, so that's going to be Tamei Tumas Medrash. Kimita, if the agala was made like a bed, you can imagine like an ambulance bed, right? It's made to be lied upon. So then, Tmea Tamei Meis. That's going to be a higher level of Tuma. Shelavanim, but what if it's made out of stone? Something which is very, very heavy. Stone is very dense relative to other materials. Then we would say Tahor Miklum. Then you cannot make that Tamei. It's not susceptible to Tuma. Yet, what does Rav Yochanan say? V'amar Rav Yochanan, V'im yesh ba'beis kibo rimonim tmeya tamei meis. However, if this stone thing was able to hold items that were smaller than that of a rimon, then it would be considered to be a base kibul. It would be considered tamei. Now we know that a kli loses its status as a kli once a hole in the kli is large enough that a pomegranate can fall through. At that point, it no longer has the shein kli. But if the kli's holes are small enough that it's able to tolerate the girth of a pomegranate, then it still maintains its status as a kli. And he was saying this about the avanim. How are the avanim pulled? They're too heavy to carry it by yourself. Obviously, it must be carried by shvarim. The Gemara is not explicit about this, but that is what it means, according to the Rishonim here. And the din of Rav Yochanan is a raya to Chananya. And that's a proof that Chananya can say that when do we say that a ship that's carryable on land can even be pulled by shvarim. That's a din in the Gemara that's proved by Rav Yochanan. And then the Gemara quotes a very complicated Tosefta, or is it a Tosefta? I think so. Hold on. Yes, it's a Tosefta. And there the Tosefta says as follows. We're 6 lines down, Pedal Manal. Shalosh Tevos Hain. There are 3 types of boxes. Teva Shepischa Mitzida Tmei Medras. If there is a box which has an opening to the side, that is going to be considered Tumas Medras. If a Nida or a Zav were to put their weight on that by going into the box from the side, that would be Tamei Tumas Medras. Fine. Milamala, if the opening was from the top, then it's Tmei Tamei Mace, because then a mace could be put inside the box and it could be Tamei. But the Haba B'Mida, something that's extremely heavy, to Hora Miklum. And this is actually a similar reference to what we saw before, but with less flowery commentary in the Gemara. It's very difficult to understand this in a vacuum. Tosfos here on the side has a problem with this entirely because it's only quoting part of the Brisa. If you take a look quickly at, take a quick look at Tosfos, Tibra Maschel, Shalosh Tevos, Kasha L'ri, why did you bring this Brisa at all? What about the end of the Brisa? Gimel Agalos Hain. Because at the end of this thing, it speaks about Gimel Agalos, 3 different types of carts, like we started at the top. But then you left something out. In Cain, there was a case in the middle that was missing. So Tosfos and other Rishonim as well, I believe, have difficulty with this brisa. It's difficult to understand in context as well. Nevertheless, the theme is the same, that the things that are extremely heavy that are made out of stone are not carryable. But if they're still subject to Tuma, in that the holes that are in them are small enough such that a pomegranate could be held, namely the holes are not that big, it still has the din of a kli, but the only way you can pull such heavy items is with animals, and therefore it's still considered to be tamei. Sikum hadvarim, up until this point, we have a machlokes tanoim. Our Mishnah says that the threshold for a boat being tamei is 0. We have nothing to talk about. All boats that float, small, big, pottery, not pottery, are all going to be considered tahor. Masha Enkin, according to Hananya in the Brisa, is that we have nafkaminas. He holds that it depends if it can be carried, or it depends on the material. The first nafkamina was cheres. Our Mishnah writes that a cheres boat would still be considered tahor. Masha Enkin, Hananya holds that it would be considered tamei if it's carryable. And the second variable, as mentioned, is size. If something is portable, the sfinas hayarden, the smaller boats. Good. Tanu Rabbanan, about a third of the way down, paid Dalet Amadal. Tanu Rabbanan, the rabbis taught us a din. Medras kli cheres tahor. Rabbi Yossi Omer afasfina. This is an enigmatic quote from the Tanoim, Tosefta as well. There is tumas medras. There is no tumas medras by a kli cheres. So let's say a nida or a zav or a zava would sit on top of a kli that's made out of kli cheres. The din is that it's tahor. What happened to tumas medras? Well, the fact is that it's made out of cheres. We're going to see why that's the case. How did Rabbi Yossi respond to the Tanakama? He said, af svina, even a boat. What does that mean? We're not talking about a boat. Rashi's like, he doesn't say this language, but is effectively ma'in and shmita etzel har Sinai. Why are you talking about a boat? We're talking about tumas medras of kli cheres. You're talking about a boat. Very weird. So the Gemara says, my kamar, and Rashi here explains my kamar to mean, what are you talking about? We're not talking about this. So says the Gemara, Amar of Zvid, Rav Zvid takes a stab. Hachi kamar, this is pshat. Medras kli cheres, what did the Tanakama mean? It's a little bit more language that we're missing. Medras kli cheres tahor. We know that if a zav or a zava or a nida puts their weight onto a kli cheres, that there's no tuma. However, umagao tamei. But there might be tumas maga, not tumas masa, but there might be tumas maga. A din that's not quoted in our Mishnah. Usvina shel cheres tmeya kechananya. And the Tanakama here in this Tosefta adds that a sfina that's made out of cheres is going to be tamei, like the brisa, like we saw, like the nafkaminas, because cheres was not in the pasuk of sak, of the sackcloth, like Chananya. And then what's the dissenting opinion there on that point, which was not found in our Tosefta, where the Tanakama speaks about a boat? There, Rav Yossi Omer af sfina tahora ketana didan. There, Rav Yossi adds in, no, come on, Tanakama, we don't hold like that. We hold like our Mishnah. Even a boat is going to be considered tahora. Maskif la Rav Papa, my af. The language of Rav Yossi was that even this boat is going to be, even this cheres is going to be tahora. So what is the language of the Gemara here? My af. The Gemara is bothered by the fact that Rav Yossi used the word af. What does the word af mean? Even this. So the Rishonim here explain, you can't say even this boat is not going to be included. What did our Tanakama say? Our Tanakama was very clear. Every single boat, bar none, if it floats on water, is tahora. You can't come along and say, even this boat. No, we've already been all inclusive. So Rav Zvid, if you're going to try to reinterpret this Tosefta so that the Tanakama of this Tosefta was really talking about a boat, and comes along Rav Yossi to say, no, even that boat is going. No, you can't say even that boat according to our Tana. Our Mishnah was clear, was exhaustive and inclusive, every boat under the sun. So therefore the Gemara rejects the Shita of Rav Zvid and presents another option. Elama Rav Papa halfway down, Pedal Aleph, Hachi Kamar, this is Pshat in this complicated Tosefta. Medras Kli Cheretz Tahor. Everyone agrees. Zav, Zavanida, they put their weight down on something made out of Kli Cheretz. There's no Tuma. Umagao Tame. And as well, we agree, like Rav Zvid tried to say, but not quite as far, that there's Tumas Maga. The Shel Eitz, what about wood? So there, we would say, Bein Midraso Uvein Magao Tame. Again, these things are not found in the original text of our Tosefta, where Rabbi Yossi argued on the Tanakama. Fine, no problem. But there, we're going to add in Usfina Sayardein Tahora Ketana Ditan. We would say that these small boats are going to be Tahor, like our Mishnah. Rabbi Yossi Omer, Rabbi Yossi comes along like Reb Chanina, the more lenient Shita, and says, Afspina Tmea Kechananya. Even this one's going, now that's reasonable, because we know that Chananya has some limitations to say that many are still Tahora, things that are not portable are still Tahora. However, even this one is going to be considered Tmea because it is made out of Cheres, like the opinion of Chananya, and that works out. Good, period. So now we're going to start another sugya about why it is that there is no Tumas Medras by Kli Cheres. So says the Gemara, 2/3 of the way down. Umedres Kli Cheres minalan de Tahor. How do we know that there's no Tumas Medras by a Kli Cheres, by something that's made out of pottery, by earthenware? Amar Chizkiya de Amar Kra. He bases it on a pasuk. V'ish asher yigaba mishkavo, a person who touches something when he's lying down. Makish mishkavo lo. We make a hekesh, a comparison, an equivalence between the person himself and that which he touches. Mahu islay tahara b'mikvah. This guy, at some point, who's a zav or a woman who's a nida, she's going to get to go to the mikvah at some point. So is the zav, he's going to get to go to the mikvah at some point. So therefore, af mishkavo nami islay tahara b'mikvah. Therefore, it must be that anything that can go in the mikvah to become tahor is included. What's our question? Why is earthenware not included? Well, earthenware, the pasuk says by earthenware that if it becomes tama yishaver, that it has to be broken. Earthenware to put in a mikvah never helps, ever. There's no benefit at all. So because of that, because of this hekesh, of the mishkaf to the person, because the only way that he can become tahor is by going to the mikvah, then only items, kalim, that he leans upon that go into the mikvah can become tamei tumas medras. That excludes Cheres, because Cheres cannot be included in that because it does never help to go in the mikvah. And similarly, 5 lines from the bottom, the Bei Rabbi Shmuel Tana, he had a similar limud, but from another pasuk, Kimishkav Nidasa Yehiela. Makish Mishkavala. We have a pasuk that speaks about a nida, and there we make a comparison, an equivalence between a nida and that which she touches. Mahi islatara b'mikvah, just like as we know, a woman after Sheva Nikim, after 7 days of seeing no blood, all the appropriate bedikas therein. So af mishkava nami islatara. Only things that are subject to going to a mikvah could then be considered tamei tumas medrash in the first case. And therefore, 2 lines from the bottom says the Gemara, La Fuke, these 2 sources come to exclude Kli Cheres, the less leitara b'mikvah. Beautiful. So now it's very clear. The reason why Tumas Medras doesn't apply to Kli Cheres is because it has no tahara process in a mikvah. And it's not to say that it's excluded because it can't go in the mikvah. It's not shaykh to the world of Tuma, because the only thing that's shaykh to the world of Tuma is something that can go in the mikvah, like the zav and like the nida, and any kalim that they lean upon. So if they're on a piece of wood may not be makabel Tuma. Let's say they're on a piece of plastic, the plastic can be makabel Tuma potentially. So if they're lying on a plastic raft and there's Tumas Medras, yes, they may well become Tameh. That's very possible because it could go in a mikvah. However, it's not true by Cheres. So says the Gemara, wait a minute. Masiv Rabbi La. What about something that's made out of reeds? Meifetz b'meis minayin. How do we know that a mat that's made out of reeds does have tuma if a mace is put on top? Turning to the top of Peidalim and Beis V'dinu, it's very logical. Uma pachim ketanim, just like small utensils, shetahorin v'zav tameim b'meis, that maybe would be tahor by a zav, but would be tamei by mace. So then, Mayfitz, this mat that's made out of reeds, shenitma bezav, that would in fact become tame by a zav. Eino din, wouldn't it of course be the case? Sheyehei tame b'meis. So the Gemara tries to apply its own svara to say that we were able to learn from zav to tumas meis, and therefore we could learn that this mat of reeds, which is not made out of cheres, it's made out of something that grows from the ground. Maybe we should learn from there that it's considered tamei. So it says the Gemara, but wait a minute, a mat of reeds is not a kli. It's flat. It can't hold anything. So there should be, what goes in a mikvah? Kalim go in a mikvah, or people. So if I have something that's tamei, it's made out of glass, I can be mitahar that in a kli, no problem at all. So here it says the Gemara, ve'amai. But why does your svara make any sense that this mat of reeds should ever become tamei meis? It should be tahor. Hales le'tahara b'mikvah. It's a mat of reeds. It's not subject to the mikvah, not because it's made out of cheres. It's not made out of cheres. It's just not subject to the mikvah because it's not a kli. And something that's not a kli cannot go in the mikvah. So minei ubei, it should be be'etzem that the mat of reeds should not be subject to tuma because you can't put it in a mikvah because it's not a kli. Again, not a material question, but a structural question. It doesn't hold anything. Great question. Amarle, Reb Chanina, no, I hear your question. It's a good question, Rav Ilah, but I'm going to push back on you. Shiny Hassam, it's different with the mat of reeds. Why by the mat of reeds do we say that there still should be tuma? Hoel ve'ika b'mino, because since other things made out of that material still can go to the mikvah when in fact they're in the status of a kli, so therefore, even by the mat of reeds, which granted isn't a kli, but made out of the same material, it's bimino, it's made out of reeds, it's not made out of cheres. So therefore, because other things in that genre that are made out of this material can go in the mikvah, therefore we apply tuma to the status of the mat. Okay, reasonable jump. Maybe. Omar le, Rabbi Lah says to Rav Chanina, a great line. Rachmana litzlan mehaidaita. Hashem, please save me from the way that this person thinks. There's something wrong with the brain. He's not thinking straight. What kind of question is that? You think that just because the mat of reeds is made out of the same material as a kli can go in a mikvah, so the mat of reeds should be subject to tuma. It's not a kli. Hashem, please save me from the way you think. Says back Reb Chanina to his chaver. This was done be'ahava rabbah. This was all done lovingly. Amar le, the opposite. He says, Adarabba, doesn't say Amar le, sorry, Adarabba, the opposite. Rachmana litzlan medaita didach. Hashem should save me from your way of thinking. After all, what's my rationale that there should be tuma by this mat? V'taima mai, what's the reason? Why? Because, Trei Kro'en Ksibe, there are two psukim. Ksi, one pasuk says, V'isha sher yigaba mishkavo. One pasuk says that a person that touches the bed that he's lying on. Uksiv kol hamishkava sher yishkava lo hazav yitma, and any mat, any mattress or thing that a person lies on when he's hazav, haketzad, what's pshat? And here's Reb Chanina, a givaldic collection of psukim. Yesh b'mino, as long as something in its category does get to go to the mikvah when it's a kli, afal gav de les leitara b'mikvah, even though the item itself is not subject to the mikvah because it's not a kli, but it's made out of the right material, that's when we say that it's subject to tuma. However, ein b'mino, when it's not made out of a min that goes to the mikvah, namely cheres, makish mishkavo lo. So then we would say that there is an equivalence of the person to the item, and therefore we would say, in fact, that there is no tuma. So Reb Chanina has a great marimakom. Rav Ilah has nothing to fall back on, and the Gemara ends its dialogue in this regard. So Rachmana nitzlan mehaidaita didach, the Gemara presents this sharp machlokas with a very clean answer based on psukim, and it seems to be the case Reb Chanina is right. That when a mace were to be put on a mat of reeds, that even though the mat of reeds is itself not subject to be putting into a mikvah because it's not a kli, afal pikin, it would still be shaykh to tuma, because in the category, in the material of what it was made out of, the din should still be that there is tuma. Now, all of this was world number one, where we tried to give an answer of how we know that there is tuma by the world of how we know that there's no tuma by medrash, and we tried to base it on the psukim of Chizkiah from the previous page, based on the equivalence of a person. That if a person has to go in a mikvah, the item has to go in the mikvah. Rava, however, presents a different answer to that. Rava Amar medrash kli cheres tohar mehacha. We learn it from a different pasuk. Let's say that there's earthenware jugs that are not covered. So then there, the pasuk says that if there's a mace, everything inside becomes tameh. The Gemara makes a diuk. Hayesh tzamid psil alav. What if it is sealed? Tahor. taharu, no problem. Then that's a jug that a person's allowed to keep, and then nothing becomes tameh. Namely, with pottery, there has to be something open in order for the tumah to enter into the pottery. Otherwise, there's no tumah at all, because the outside of the vessel, as the Rishonim explains, functions as a chatzitza to the inside of the vessel, and therefore there's no tumas cheres. Now, Rabbi here makes an assumption. Milo askinan, are we not dealing with a type of earthenware vessel, the yachdinu leishto nida, where a husband says to the wife, let this be your chair, let this be the chair that you sit on. The kama rachmana tahor, we know, of course, that if it's sealed, that there's no, we see that the Torah says it's tahor, so therefore no tumas medras. 6 years ago, I flew down to Texas to do a circumcision for a family, not a Jewish family. I walked into the house. Everyone was more modest than you could imagine, covered head to toe, daughters, mothers. The husband was wearing tzitzis of some kind, not kosher, just wrapped around the tassels of his belt. I walked into the house. The woman says to me, welcome to my home. You can sit everywhere except for this chair. This is my chair, as I just had a baby. She, a goy de oraisa, was makbid on tumas medras like you would not believe. I was totally stunned, and I couldn't even hide my expression. I'm like, is this like commonplace? Does everybody keep tumas medras? It was crazy. Total goy d'oraisa, and she kept tumas medras, but it wasn't earthenware. She knew. She had the chiluk in the Gemara and Pei Dalet. She knew that it only applied to certain materials. But she was makbid gomer that I could not sit in her chair. Doesn't apply nowadays, but still, it's nice to see that at least someone is keeping these halachos and keeping them alive. Okay, Mishnah, the bottom of Pei Dalet Amud Beis, switching over to an agricultural sugya of kiloi hakerem. The Torah stipulates that we are not allowed to grow things, certain different things, in the same area within 3 tvachim of one another. So here we're doing a little bit of geometry to find out how much can we pack in. We're going to be the efficient Jewish farmer. We want to plant 5 different things in one very small patch. How much can we squeeze in? So the Mishnah opens as follows. Minayin le'aruga. From where do we know that from a small patch of crop? Shisha al shisha tvachim. Shisha al shisha tvachim is 6 by 6 tvachim, approximately 4 inches per tefach. It's about 2 feet by 2 feet, a tiny patch. Okay, 2 feet by, just imagine, it's not that big, right? We can make the shape in front of us with our own arms. 2 feet by 2 feet. How do we know that in that space that we could get away with the following? Shazor and besocha, that we could plant within it, chamisha zeronin, 5 seeds, ones that preclude one another as it relates to kiloi hakerem. You're not allowed to plant the 5 seeds within 3 tvachim of one another. How do we swing this? How do we get all 5 in? Chamisha zaronim, dalet al dalet ruchos, 1 on each of the 4 walls, right? That's good. We got 4 in. And then what you do is va'achas b'em, so you plant 1 seed dead center. So if in fact it's 6 across, so then you have at the ends, and then it's 3 tvachim to the center, and then you plant 1 in the middle. So that's good. It works perfectly. You've got 1 on each end. Right? If this is my square, I planted 1 here, 1 here. You got all 4 on the edges, and 1 seed dead center. We consider that to be a distance of 3 tvachim from all of the 4 different various types of seeds, and you're good to go. Shene'emar, how do we know that all of this is true? Based on a pasuk, Ki cha'aretz totzi tzimcha, u'chegana zero'eh tatzmiach, zara lo ne'amar ela zero'eh, that you're able to plant in the multiples. My mashma, where do we get all these numbers from? So the Gemara says we learn the number 5 from the following drasha Amar of Yehuda. Ki cha'aretz totzi tzimcha, totzi chad. The word totzi in the pasuk teaches us 1. Tzimcha teaches us another 1. Chad, hare trei. 1 plus 1 is 2. Zero'eha is in the plural. It's in the plural, it teaches us another 2, trei, ha, arba, now we have 4. Tatzmiach is another 1, chad, ha, chamisha. Perfect, we've got our count. Turning to the top of Pehei Amud Aleph, v'kim lehu l'rabbanan de chamisha b'shisa lo yinaki. That we are able to plant 5 within 6, shisa in Aramaic, the tough and shin are interchangeable, that you can plant 5 within 6 tvachim by 6 tvachim, lo yinaki. The word yonek in Hebrew is to nurse or to draw from. A baby is meinik, he nurses from its mother. So the critical aspect here that the Rishonim pick up on is that the Isser kiloi hakerem is when the 2 different sources of vegetation draw their yonek from the same source. So that's the problem. and therefore they have to be of a certain distance, which we assume is 3 tvachim. So lo yinaki, that they're not going to draw from another mehadade. How do we know that they're not going to do that? Umenalan dahakin luhu rabbanan milsahi. How do we know that the rabbanan support this idea? Answers the Gemara. Damar Reb Chia bar Abba Amar Rav Yochanan Mai dechsiv lo sasik gvul re'acha sher gavalu rishonim. What the pasuk is talking about, lo sasik. This is not really a din that relates to here, but this is about the isser of hasagas gavul, that you can't open a challah shop next to a challah shop. Those kinds of dinim. Another sugya. Now, for now, we'll learn about that more when it comes up in Shas. So, what does the pasuk mean of lo sasig gvul re'acha sher gavalu rishonim? Gvul shegav the rishonim lo sasig. That the first people who put up that boundary, you should not cross it. My gav the rishonim. What were the people who did things first? Let's see. Amar Rabbi Shmuel bar Nachmani Amar Rabbi Yonasan Dichsiv, as the pasuk says, Ela b'nei Seir hachori yoshevei haaretz. These are the people of Seir hachori. We'll analyze that word shortly. Yoshevei haaretz, the one who settled on the ground. Ask the Gemara, Atu kule alma yoshvei rakia inhu. Was everybody else living in the clouds? Why does the pasuk have to say that there were yoshvei haaretz? Everybody lives on the land. What does that even mean? No, so we're of course going to be, everything in the Torah is very specific. The reason why it says that they were Yoshvei Haaretz was because they were experts about the ground. Shahayu Omrim, this is how much you're going to have to fill up this utensil in order to service the olive tree. This much water for the grapevine. For the date tree. Good. Bechori, what does the pasuk mean when it says that they were Seir Hachori? Shemerichen es haaretz. They were able to smell the ground and tell what could grow best in the ground. Chavi, achivya in Aramaic is a snake. They would be able to taste the ground on their tongue and say, I got the flavor. This is the best thing to grow. They were mamish pekim. Amar Papa. So what does it mean? V'chavi. Amar Papa shayutom es haaretz kechivya, like a snake. Rav Acha bar Yaakov Amar no. Chore shenasu b'nei chorin. They were made free when they were kicked out of their land. They didn't have to work the ground anymore. And they were kicked out of their land. They didn't have to worry about the ground anymore. No more agricultural responsibilities. Amar Ravasi, Aruga Tocha Vav Chutz Migvuleha. When we say our din in our Mishnah that you can plant 5 zaronim, 5 seeds within 6 by 6 tvachim, that's only true within the 6 by 6, excluding the gvul. What does that mean? Well, because if you're doing a 6 by 6 tefach here and one next to it, there has to be something between them, because you have to make sure that it's not yonik to violate the Yisr of Kilei HaKerem. So there had to be a space between each aruga, each little crop of space of crop, I should say. So then Amar Ravasi, the aruga that we're talking about, tocha, within there was exactly 6, but it excludes the measure outside the gvul, which was chutz migvul. Tanya Nami Hachi, the Bryce as well says this, and we'll wrap up with this. Aruga tocha shisha. The measurement within was a full 6. Vuleha bekama. How much was the border? Answers the Gemara, kid. It's not like the Mishnah says. Rabbi Yehuda Omer rochav kimelo rochav parsa. The middle was a certain measurement of a parsa. Amar Reb Zera Itema Reb Chanina bar Papa. My taima de Rabbi Yehuda dechsiv b'shkisa beraglecha kegan hayarak. That we have to water. Biraglecha, like your leg, kigan hayarak, like the garden and its vegetation. Ma regel tefach, just like the foot is approximately a tefach, 4 inches, let's call it. Af gevul tefach, so too are the borders. Namely, around every aruga, which was 6 by 6, they had a 1 tefach border. So if you could imagine having driven through southern Illinois, you see these huge patches of fields. Now imagine them organized kehilchasa. You're trying to plant to avoid kilei HaKerem, and you want to plant in a minimalistic fashion. So you do a 6 by 6 with a ring of 1 tefach around to make sure that there's no kilei HaKerem, and then next to that, another 6 by 6 ring around, same like that. So it's basically a lot of boxes with a kind of like a walking space of 1 tefach in between. Just one last ta'ara to speak about is people's feet were only a tefach. That's 4 inches. It's not talking about the length of their feet. It's talking about the width of their feet, which is approximately the size of one's fist. So that's the measurement. And sikum advarim for tonight on this Mishnah is that we are able to avoid the Yisr of Kilei HaKerem if one were to plant 5 different zaronim, 1 on each of the 4 sides and 1 seed in the middle, and we would make sure, of course, that between each aruga and aruga there is a pathway of at least 1 tefach in between, beraglecha kegan hayorak, like the width of a person's foot. And we'll stop here for tonight. Mir Hashem, tomorrow night another blot and a half. Then we'll be all caught up and back to 1 blot. Mir Hashem, we should all have a beautiful Shavua Tov and a beautiful week.